when you work for yourself, you have to come in when you're sick. You have to come in when you don't want to.
So when did you were always, even as a young child, interested in all these, what dad's doing and the adventure and so on, and interested in art. When was it clear to you that this was for real?
So somewhere in high school, I always wondered how my dad stayed in the studio all day long, painting, sculpting, and doing what he did. Like, because I loved it so much. But I'm like, how does he always do it? I want to go hang out with friends. I want to go on a date with the girl. How do you do all these things and still do that? And then I served, a church mission down in Brazil for a couple of years. And then somewhere on my mission too, I realized, I'm like, oh, you just do it. Like, you do it.
You just do the work.
You do the work.
Just buckle down and do the work, and it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
But the work must be done.
And my dad joked with me too. He goes, yeah, when you work for yourself, you have to come in when you're sick. You have to come in when you don't want to. When I tell people I'm an artist, sometimes I'll tell them I'm a painter. It's always hard to tell people exactly what I do. And if I say painter, they go, oh, houses. I go, no. And you go artist, and they go, oh, an artist. And then they have this. There's kind of a funny idea out there, that they're the starving artist, or they're kind of hippie-ish, or they don't, they kind of, when they're in the mood. And I think there's definitely a number of artists, successful artists, who definitely have got the right idea about it, and they. It's their life. All our my travel plans revolve around my artistic endeavors. And I talked with a friend a few months ago, and he was asking me, because I was always impressed by his business that he's grown, and he's just recently sold. And he was telling me about his vision boards and all of his goals. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he had goals. And because some were monetary goals, and I thought, man, that would have been maybe a little bit smarter of me to have set some of those kinds of goals. I had artistic goals, and he was asking, he's like, well, what do you mean artistic goals? I said, well, there was a museum show that I wanted to be a part of, and so I kept painting, and then I would submit, and then sometimes they would let you in, and sometimes they don't, and he goes, well, were you compensated, monetarily after? I said, well, yeah, sometimes to a point if your painting sold, sometimes it wouldn't sell, and so there's that aspect of it. And so I've worked and I've put in the work, and a nice consequence has been I've been able to sell paintings to continue to do what I like to do and love to do. But a lot of times some of the work that doesn't necessarily mean a monetary reward.
Yeah. Tell me a little about the like what your dad said about you got to get in there and work when you're sick and when you're uninspired, or you got to do the work. How do you get through that? Because my guess is, regardless of your profession, a lot of us feel that, where some days we just feel in flow and inspired and just love it, and other days it's like, I'm just going through the motions, I'm trudging through to get it done, and that goes in waves. What's it like for you?
No, that sounds exactly it's funny that you mentioned it. How you put it is, I'm like, goodness, that's exactly how I feel sometimes. And I think you have to, on the days that you don't want to do it, you have to do it.